Good morning, Anne, and welcome everyone. We are about a minute early, so I do want to just give one more minute in case anyone else is going to join us for today's session. But if you want to go ahead and put your name and organization into the chat, that would be great. And we will get started in just a minute. So thank you for joining and being here this morning. Okay, so my clock is reading 10, and we're just going to go ahead and get started if that sounds good. And if more folks join us, wonderful. And if not, we'll have this fantastic recording. So welcome to the first Save Food Sarasota information session. Today, we are going to be covering how businesses can recover food, feed the community, and reduce their own business costs. So we've got some wonderful people here with us today with City of Sarasota, Transition Sarasota, UF IFAS Extension, and then myself with Means Database. So let's get into it. So first, I just want to give a thank you to the Gulf Coast Community Foundation. They have offered and given us a fantastic grant that supports the logistics side of recovering excess food. And so we have funds to help with transportation and logistics costs, and that makes a huge difference here in Sarasota County. So just a thank you to them for helping to make this happen. So we're going to get into some topics today. If questions come to mind, just pop them in the chat. Aaliyah is going to kindly just kind of keep track of those, and we'll get to them at the end. So if anything comes up, please go ahead and put those questions in the chat. And if you haven't put your name and organization, go ahead and do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about what food recovery is and how you can participate. What are some of the benefits of participating with food recovery? Also looking at some of the challenges, the next steps for you to take as a food vendor or a nonprofit, and then finishing up with the local partners that have joined us today. So this is me. This is a pineapple that I grew. So I'm Emily Grant. I'm the program manager with Means Database, and I'm located right here in Sarasota County. And this is the pineapple that I grew at the Bayou Oaks Community Garden. And I'm always quite happy once I have a pineapple, because for many of you, you know, it takes a good year and a half before you get one. And they're better than anything, I think, than you can get from the store. So we're going to go into what is food recovery. So first, a little bit about food waste. About 40% of food produced in the US goes uneaten. And at the same time, we have 1 out of 5 Floridians are food insecure. So food makes up about 20% of the total landfill weight, and this is contributing to methane gas, which many of you know is contributing to climate change, more intense storms, etc. And so what food recovery is all about is the practice of collecting wholesome food that would otherwise go to waste and donating it to a local food agency to help feed those in need. So when we're thinking about wholesome food coming from a catering company, could be coming extra food from a farm that's been gleaned, could be at a hotel after an event takes place and there's excess food. There's a lot of ways to look at doing food recovery. And thankfully, we have a policy and a bill that is in place that protects folks who are going to donate that wholesome food. So this is the Bill Emerson Act, and it protects you from liability when you donate to a nonprofit organization. And this is really intended for businesses and food vendors that are donating that wholesome food to a nonprofit. And so it's protecting you from civil and criminal liability. Again, when you're donating in good faith, that could possibly later cause harm to a recipient. And it standardizes the donor liability exposure. So this bill has been around for quite some time, and it really does offer that protection of making food donations and knowing that you are legally and protected doing that. All right, so we're going to hop into the involvement and participation piece. So how you can get involved with doing food recovery. So I mentioned earlier that I'm with Means Database, and we are a nonprofit. And what we do is we are a web communication platform that spans across all 50 states, DC and Canada. And lucky me, I'm here in Florida, right in Sarasota County. And our platform acts as a bridge. So between the food donors and those local nonprofits looking to use that unsold or excess food. And this really does help to support our community members facing food insecurity. It helps the business get some great PR, reduce some of those landfill costs that they may be having for paying for their trash pickup. And so to share a little bit more about who we are, I am going to play this video. I think it explains really well what we do with Means Database. And Ali, if you can just give me a thumbs up once I hit play that you've got sound, that would be great. So.
The casino, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never stops. Everything good? I'm the banquet chef at Twin River Casino. We have huge volume. You are gonna end up with extra food. Inevitably, a lot of it would be thrown away.
So much of Providence just doesn't have enough to get by. I'll get the cereal. We feed close to 300 people a day. Sweets. Donations are critical.
There was a food pantry in my church that I grew up working in. You would have way too much of one thing and would be in desperate need of a different thing. Inevitably, some of it would expire. And I ended up throwing a lot of it away. How can there be 40 million Americans going hungry and up to 40% of the food supply going to waste? That's such an obvious thing to fix. I know we're about to pull in a lot of donors. Means is an online platform. So when a charity needs food, they tell us. And when a retailer has that food, we let them know automatically. The claim time average for the state is unbelievable. The recipients in Rhode Island have just been on it, like every time. We're almost exclusively high school and college students, but we've helped find homes for about 1.8 million pounds of food since we opened in 2015.
Chicken, and more damn chicken. Now, when we have leftovers, in the morning we'll pan it up, weigh it, label it.
All a business needs to do is head to our website, tell us what they've got and when they need it gone by.
8 pans of summer squash, 20 pans of chicken, 500 pounds. It's available today. I just hit post.
Oh, it's 500 pounds. 8 pans of summer squash, 20 pans of barbecue chicken, and about 28 agencies were notified.
Chicken, summer squash, rice, flank steak. I get a text, and assuming nobody has gotten there first, I claim the food.
This has now been claimed. It has turned green. You would really think that the novelty of it would wear off. It doesn't.
All right, I'll see you in a little while.
We're able to match up excess and need very, very quickly.
There he is. Good to see you. The people that are picking it up definitely need it. It's a win-win all the way around.
This is really 4 or 5 meals. That's big. That's a week. The simplicity of it, the fact that it's, oh, there's a text. Oh, and here's the food. It's magic. All right, there's lunch. We picked this food up 40 minutes ago, and it's already on its way to the table. It's exciting that food that had a whole other job yesterday found this way better job today. How was lunch? Did we do okay?
Awesome.
Yeah?
I'm definitely not having a normal college experience. What makes it worth it is knowing we're building something that matters a lot more than we do.
So hopefully that gave you a little bit of an idea of kind of what Means Database does, and how our platform works. So our nonprofit recipients, there it just helps to solve some of that donation dumping. Sometimes that happens, and it allows the communication to take place between the food donor that's hopefully nearby, as well as the nonprofit that's looking to receive it. And so this is free. So this is free for both the business that is posting their donations, and it is free for the recipient to sign up and claim it. So there's no cost involved for either party. Our food donors, things that to consider is it helps to save on those dumpster fees, depending on what that looks like for you, whether it's through the city or whether it's through the county. There is a way on our database that allows you, once you're putting in how much food is going to be donated, you can put in the fair market value, which allows you at the end of the year, when you're preparing for taxes, to see how much you have donated. And so that can absolutely be a write-off because of that donation. So and this is a great way to just continue to connect with the community, provide, I think, excellent, PR as well, that you are involved in providing food security. Okay, so what does it look like in Florida right now? Here is where all of our users are located. So kind of really all across the state. You see a little bit going into other states there, but we do have quite a few folks that are registered on our database and get these notifications, as well as the ability to post. So far since May of 2021, we have moved to over 266,000 pounds of food. And a lot of those partners across the state have been UF IFAS Extension Family Nutrition Program, also UF IFAS Extension, Florida Impact to End Hunger. We've had a huge and great pilot program with Orange County Public Schools, who've been a fantastic donor. East Fork Creek Farm, that's located just south of us, Society of St. Andrew, and St. Matthew's House. And these are just to name a few. There's quite a few partners around the state. So Means in Sarasota County, with us, we've so far moved 240 pounds of that 266,000 pounds throughout the state. Last spring, we supported Transition Sarasota and their amazing glean of 39,000 pounds of produce. And so we supported on the back end some of the logistics of the hard work that they did as well. So right now we have 8 partners, and we've had 3 transactions. So as you can imagine, I would love to see this grow. I'd love to see more participation here in Sarasota County of getting more both food donors as well as recipient organizations to donate that extra food. So sometimes, often I would say, transportation is and can be quite a challenge. So there can be that food vendor business that says, yeah, we've got all this great extra food, and there's a nonprofit that says we would absolutely love it. Sometimes the challenge is getting the food from point A to point B. So one of the programs that's available is through DoorDash. They have a program called Project Dash, and Project Dash was launched basically in 2018, but really kind of took off through the COVID-19 pandemic. And what it is it's empowering community organizations to really use the DoorDash logistics to increase access in the community. And so that last mile support is often needed. And so they provide support for up to 10 miles of moving food from point A to point B. And so this is something that we with Means Database I can help you get connected to the folks with Project Dash to learn a bit more about how to use this service. It's a really great way of reaching our older adults in the community, as well as our community members who may have transportation barriers. So here is a little video kind of explaining what Project Dash is all about.
I love the concept of Project Dash and what it's about and what it's doing for the community.
Project Dash to me is really simple. It's helping people, it's helping families who are struggling.
With Project Dash, we do weekly deliveries to households from the food bank. We submit ride requests to DoorDash every day, and then DoorDash schedules drivers for all of those orders to be picked up from the food bank and delivered to people's doorsteps.
Being able to connect to a program through DoorDash to where, again, I could meet the needs of those who need it, to me was really important, and it just made the most sense. Why not go out there and do it?
People have said that had it not been for this program, they would have lost their housing or they wouldn't have been able to feed their children. And so the resource that this program provides is really important.
So it's a pretty awesome service. That's definitely intended for, dense areas, and we know that not every area in Sarasota is dense or is within a 10-mile radius. And so, thanks to the Gulf Coast Community Foundation, we with Beans Database can help support some of those other transportation support. But Project Dash, I think, offers a pretty nice logistics support when things are moving close by. So some of the benefits to consider for your food vendor business and things to think about is that it's reducing the disposal fees. So that cost that you're spending for the pickup for disposal fees, hopefully by donating that wholesome food, there will be a less of a cost there. Also, the UF IFAS extension has a pretty cool program called the Green Business Award and Recognition Program. And Aaliyah and Randy will talk about that in a little bit of what that program is all about. It's really helping to feed the community. It really does make a huge difference by getting this food that would normally maybe end up in the landfill to folks that can really enjoy it. There's definitely tax incentives. I mentioned earlier that on the Means Database app, you can go ahead and put the fair market value of what that is. And so to track that and have that for your business at the end of the years can be really helpful. I think it's great. Great PR. It's something that you can absolutely be able to share out into the community that you are doing this extra and added piece of helping to feed folks. And as I mentioned, there's free logistical support through Means Database when it comes to transportation. And we're also looking into renting some cooler space with a local commissary kitchen called Your Culinary Place. And they have a commercial kitchen with cold storage as well as dry storage. And we know sometimes logistically, there can be a fantastic food vendor that says, yes, I'm so happy to donate this food, and a nonprofit that says we would love it. But sometimes there's some days in between of moving that. So for example, if that business is saying, okay, we've got to donate this on Tuesday, we're getting new orders coming in, we can't keep this in our fridge. And the recipient organization says, well, we don't really go and do feeding until Friday. There's sometimes a gap of that time in between. And so we're looking at having cooler space available if there's a need to keep the food, food safe, and then still be able to make sure that gets donated and not tossed in the trash. So, and as a reminder, if questions are coming to mind, feel free to put those in the chat. I know I've been talking a lot, so I promise at the end we'll open the floor up. All right. So some challenges and things to consider for your business. So some businesses may need to order additional food packaging supplies depending on what your business model currently looks like. So for farms, oftentimes that's trying to figure out to get extra cardboard boxes or bins to use for that donation. For catering companies and restaurants, oftentimes this is those aluminum pans to package the food. You saw that in the video earlier. And so depending on how your business looks, you may need to order additional kind of packaging supplies, or you may not, depending on what that looks like. the ability to weigh and label food. The first 5 businesses that sign up with us, starting after today and moving forward, we will be able to provide a food scale and a way to weigh that food. But otherwise, you'll need to have the ability to weigh that. It's important to have access to internet, which I know in some areas can be a little spotty, but this is the way that the app works in order to make that donation known to nonprofits. And so being able to post on the internet's important. There's going to be logistical hiccups. I see it all the time. And so having that flexibility to kind of roll with it, especially the first couple times to work out some of the kinks, just seems to be part of the process. And I think a lot of you might feel this already with all kinds of supply chain challenges. And so I think that's to be expected. There might even be a possible added work time of just kind of loading everything up, getting it weighed and labeled. Hopefully not an extensive amount of time, but could be slightly extra kind of time to consider in the workday and in that flow. All right, so the next steps. And we are going to send this out, by the way, afterwards. So all this information can be on a PDF for you all to take a look at. But we really want you to sign up on Means Database. It's free, both for the food donors as well as the nonprofits. As I mentioned, the first 5 will get a free scale. And we're asking you to commit to working with us for a year. The reason for that is because I know sometimes it makes sense that you're donating on a regular basis. Sometimes maybe it's monthly, but we want to work through some of the kinks and spend the next year being able to see how that goes together. If you're interested, I can get you connected with Project Dash for delivery support. As I mentioned, you'll receive transportation and logistical support with Means Database with me and my team. And then if you're thinking like, this sounds kind of cool, maybe I want to do this, I think it's important to review kind of your current practices that you have with your team right now, what it would look like to purchase supplies, and if there might be some training involved for your employees about what the process would be for donating. So with that, I want to open up the floor to our wonderful guests here and just share a little bit about what's going on in and around our community in regards to sustainability as well as food recovery. So Jeff from the city of Sarasota is here with us and would love for you to share a bit more about what's happening in and around the city.
Thanks, Emily. Good presentation. And again, yes, Jeff Fredenberg, City of Sarasota Sustainability Coordinator. I just have one slide here just to highlight some of the sustainability efforts that we have around food and food insecurity. Partnering with Means Database and increasing produce availability for city residents through this program is something that we would like to focus on, especially going into the future. We've done fruit tree giveaways in Newtown and other communities, areas of the city, which have been wildly successful. As soon as you say free fruit trees, people just come out and can grab as many as they can, which has been really fun. And then we partner with UFI Extension on the Sustainable Communities Workshop. And I know Joyce will talk in a second, but I actually was the previous executive director of Transition Sarasota. So we have worked with Transition Sarasota on gleaning and other programs like that as well. So if you want to get involved or have any other questions for me, here's my contact information at the bottom. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you being here. And that is a perfect transition, all the puns intended, for talking about Transition Sarasota. So Joyce, who is the executive director with Transition Sarasota, is here with us. And Joyce, I'd love for you to share a bit more about what it is that you do and how that sort of connects with food recovery and in our area.
Sure. Transition Sarasota has been around since 2010, and our mission is community-driven solutions for our local food system. Our main focus is the Suncoast Gleaning Program, and we use volunteers to go to local farms, and we harvest any of the excess or unwanted produce, and we donate that to food banks for people in need. We also glean from backyard fruit trees. So people register their tree and we would go and harvest any excess mangoes or avocados and donate that to food pantries. It's great because it takes care of any food waste right at the source. We prevent food from rotting in the field and creating methane gases. And we use that food that would normally go into waste. And we put that on the plate of people who can really use it and appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Joyce. I can say from having seen the produce that got gleaned at the end of the last harvest season, which was right late April, May of this past year, there was some amazing let's see, watermelons, tomatoes, peppers, and so it's a huge gift to the community. And so if volunteering or supporting Transition Sarasota is something of interest, definitely reach out to Joyce. So thanks, Joyce. And last but not least, we have two wonderful folks here from UF IFAS Extension. We have Randy as well as Aaliyah. So I know you both are here on the call, so I'm going to let you both kind of share a little bit about the Green Business Partnership, as well as Aaliyah, if you want to talk a little bit about the sustainability efforts that are taking place with Extension, that would be great as well.
All right, well, I'll just go ahead and start it off. First of all, gosh, that is an old picture of me. I haven't seen that forever. I look so much younger in there and a little less gray. So thanks for using that one, for putting it in there. You know, with the Sarasota County Green Business Partnership Program, we have the opportunity to reach out and work with a lot of different businesses across the community over, gosh, the last 15 years, related to their environmental management. And that program's really grown over the years from just a recycling component or maybe an energy component to this really exciting kind of new area of kind of food diversion and rethinking that end of it, you know, the more community-based side of things. You know, I think one of the challenges businesses have had is that logistical side that you mentioned, Emily. You know, there's a lot of groups that want to do this kind of thing, but they don't have that structure in place. So I think having that more formalized approach can be really effective. And what I'd like to really look into with our application that we update every year is including more of this as an actual dedicated part of that application, or what I call education process, and having that kind of logistics and maybe some of those kind of packaging and access included into that up front. I think we'll have a real opportunity to get more of the businesses in our area included in that. And that can be done with new businesses that we bring on, as well as kind of circling back to those existing businesses who want to engage in that. So I think there's a real opportunity for that moving forward.
That's great. Thank you, Randy. And my name is Aaliyah. I'm the Sustainability Outreach Coordinator, and I work with Randy on the Green Business Partnership. I've done one with him. And we also have a green living class that we teach in person and online, and we talk about food waste and reducing that. And at our annual Sustainable Communities workshop, we had a food panel this year, and it always seems to be a topic that comes up at our workshop. So hopefully I'll see you there next year.
Awesome. Thank you both. I really appreciate it. So a lot of good things that I think are happening in and around our community to provide support for food recovery. So this is my contact information. And as I mentioned, I will be making sure that these slides are available for you all so that the contact information of folks, as well as some of the information shared is available. And that's it on our end in terms of our kind of our presentation today. So if you have any questions, I don't see anything in the chat unless something came directly to you, Aaliyah. No. Okay. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. Okay, so Joyce was asking who the contact is for DoorDash. So I actually have the name of the who kind of runs the entire program. So he's probably the one that I would get you connected with DoorDash. And then there's a process, I believe, for you to fill out an application through the Project Dash program, and they will kind of walk you through a bit more what's needed. So I will, I'm the best person to just reach out to if Project Dash is something that your business is interested in, and I will just make sure you're connected with the right folks there. So yes, good question. I did not put their contact directly in here, simply to just kind of filter that. But if you need that contact, be happy to provide it. So your question, Joyce, is it the responsibility of the food vendor to contact them, not the nonprofit? Is this in relation to Project Dash with DoorDash?
Yes, I just thought that would be a good thing for any vendors that are going to participate in this program to just understand whether their part in it stops once they put that item onto Means database, or are they also involved with the DoorDash transportation? Or does that DoorDash transportation piece really reside with the nonprofit picking the food up?
Okay, good
Good
yes. Yeah, good question. So Means Database and Project Dash, right, are two separate nonprofits. So we don't have a coordinated platform with that. So if, for example, the food vendor goes and puts their donation online, and they are in need, and they know they're going to be in need of that transportation or logistics support, they have two options. Option one is that they can sign an application and sign up with DoorDash so that they can get that food picked up and dropped off to the nonprofit if it's within a 10-mile radius. Or if the food gets claimed by a nonprofit that's outside that 10-mile radius, Means Database, which would be me, would be available to get them a driver to then drop that food off. And so that's sort of the two options that they have. And it really just depends on which nonprofit ends up claiming that food. If it's a regular nonprofit that is going to be constantly in picking up or interested in that food from that particular food vendor. In other places around the state, like in Orlando, we've ended up coming up with a regular schedule for pickup. So whether that's through DoorDash or with Means Database, either would be an option for that pickup. So it kind of depends on how far the food needs to go. But yeah, good question. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for coming today and being here with us. We will get this out to you. I highly recommend that you join and reach out to the folks that are here, as well as me, to get on to Means Database so we can have some more food recovery taking place in our area. So yes, thank you for joining us today, and nice to see you. And that's it, folks. So Aaliyah, feel free to stop the recording, and thank you all for joining today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Emily.